Happy Thursday, everybody. Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. Another episode of Drankin' Champagne. I am joined, as always, by Mr. Andrew Champagne. Andrew, how are you doing, my friend?
That intro sounded different than the first time. I was trying to get him to do a spit take with his drink there because we tried recording this once earlier and the intro just was not up to the usual standards that you'd expect from us professionals here on The Wrong Lead. If you're here, first of all, welcome. We're very happy to have you here. If you're watching us on YouTube, go on down below, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. If you're listening to us in podcast form, leave us a 5-star review wherever you do that. That helps us out as well. If you're on YouTube, you're going to get a special treat because, Josh, I figured something out, and it's quite possibly the most meta thing I've ever been associated with. So here we go. If you look behind me here, you will see an autographed picture of one Arnold Palmer. It's belonged to my grandmother who passed away from COVID back in 2020. I wound up coming away with that. That has a place of prominence in my home here in Northern California. I am drinking an Arnold Palmer in front of a signed picture of Arnold Palmer. This is where the Curb Your Enthusiasm thing should be dubbed in, and you wind up seeing Ed DeRosa going, no. Yeah, I don't think we have that. Yeah. Hey, it's what we have. It works. But yes, I noticed that earlier when I was in a meeting, and now I don't think I can have any other drink when I'm recording here other than Arnold Palmer in front of Mr. Arnold Palmer. So it's been that kind of week and that kind of overthinking that's been going on here at the Champagne compound in Northern California. But Josh, how are you holding up, buddy? What's new?
Oh, I'm doing all right. It's been a busy couple of weeks around here. Work has been extremely busy. We're going through a couple of projects that I've kind of featured prominently in, and so I've been trying to get through some of that here. And I think in about 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to be feeling a lot better. Just in time for Breeders' Cup basically to roll around. I was talking with Caleb and Mark, and we were just talking like, we're like 5 weeks away from Breeders' Cup, and we just couldn't believe it. Like, it's already here. And the plan right now is myself, a couple of our friends, if you watch any of our streams, PDT, who's in there, Evil Bob Dole, and then I think Mr. Mark Capitan as well are planning on flying out to Denver, to Caleb's place for a couple of days and for Breeders' Cup. So, I don't know if right now the plan is for that, if they're, Caleb and Mark are playing in the BCBC again this year, or what's going on there. But we're going to be firing from Caleb's couch. What's that look for?
Where's my invite?
Where you
Everybody else gets to go to Caleb's house in Colorado, which is, by the way, an absolutely phenomenal area for anybody that has not been there. Seriously, go for a couple of days, especially if you're outdoorsy. But where's my invite?
I'll talk to the big man and see if he can send you an invite.
Talk to the big man or talk to the pretty man. Come on.
Well, I mean, it's the same guy. It's
that's
one and the same.
joke.
Have you seen his shoes? Man wears like a size 16.
Oh, wow.
No,
I'm an 11 and a
does,
half or 12 wide, and I thought that was big.
Yeah, no, I don't think.
Fun fact, by the way, you know what body parts are usually the same length unless you're horribly deformed?
Your feet?
Your foot and your forearm.
Interesting.
Yep. Figured you'd look. Yeah, it's but it's serious. It's crazy. It's usually pretty accurate.
But yeah, so we're trying to, we were talking a little bit, planning on what we were going to do. Our friend Gary's coming out too. I forgot. He's sneaky. He will not say anything in our group chat. And then we were talking and I booked a flight, and next thing you know, he booked a flight, and we're like, dude, we didn't even know that you were interested in coming. So, it should be a good time. Mark has not committed fully to it, so hopefully he's going to be able to make it out. But And then like we were just like looking up other stuff to do, possibly go to like a Nuggets game or something while we're out there. I saw that there's an F1 arcade out there with the driving sims, and it's got like a full bar. It's supposed to be pretty cool. So, yeah, we were just looking at stuff to do, and it should be a fun weekend. And then we're also planning on going to Black Hawk, Colorado, which is a small little like gambling town, kind of a la like Reno, but it's very, very walkable from what I hear. There's like 6 or 7 casinos, all basically right next to each other. It's kind of like a mini little strip, and the limits are supposed to be low. I listen to a lot of gambling content, a lot of Vegas content, and the people who I listen to all rave about it. I mean, I've heard $5 craps is available at least one property. They have drink service there, and then Caleb went and checked it out. He comes back. He's like, "Dude, I had a great time." I mean, of course, he won money, so it's hard not to have a good time at any gambling town when you win money. But he said it was a lot of fun. He said he really liked it, and he can't wait to go back. So we're at least going to spend one night out there. So got some fun stuff planned for that. But yeah, just thinking about all of the racing that's happened over the last couple of months, and the fact that we're obviously racing doesn't stop, right? It runs year round. But really, I kind of feel like Road to the Derby till Breeders' Cup is kind of like our main like season, right? And then once Breeders' Cup is over, you get that little lull, and then Oaklawn kind of starts a little early, and it doesn't really start really picking back up until I don't know, probably that first Derby prep. You have other big
December
days.
26th at Santa Anita,
Yeah.
actually. That's the correct answer. That's usually a great card. We'll go into more depth on Santa Anita later. But before we wind up going too far, two things on Colorado. First, if you find yourself in the suburb of Morrison, be very, very careful. There are speed traps there. If you wind up going 30 and a 25, they will ticket you. They have automated systems in place to catch people who do that. It is very much a money grab. They are unapologetic about that. It's a shame because it's otherwise a really cool suburb right near Red Rocks. Also, if you're out there and you're looking for a slower change of pace, there's a suburb called Georgetown that has an absolutely wonderful vibe, whole bunch of little antique shops, and there's trains that wind up going into the mountains, and you wind up seeing all the views and stuff. Depending on how the foliage looks, that would be absolutely lovely. So got a lot to recommend from there. It really is a cool spot. But yeah, you're absolutely right about the Road to the Breeders' Cup being in earnest. We've got some preps this week, some winning your in races at a number of different locations. Santa Anita has the Goodwood / Awesome Again / California Crown / This Space for Rent anchoring their big card on Saturday, along with a couple of other races on Friday and Sunday as well. So should be a really fun weekend of horse racing amidst a lot of other fun gambling options with regard to college football and the NFL, with pictures starting to take shape about how good certain teams are, how bad certain teams are. It winds up becoming a lot of fun once you realize teams' identities, so to speak. And hey, look, horses are the same thing. You tend to get to know these horses on the road to big events like the Breeders' Cup, and you'll wind up seeing some horses you recognize, and you wind up ultimately trying to find things you like going into October 31st and November 1st.
I think you're wrong because I'm looking for stuff I don't like.
Well, you don't like anything. I mean, that's just logic here. Like, if Josh hates something, it's actually usually a sign it's not bad. So, I mean, I'm just saying, Tis the Law won multiple grade ones, and you hated that horse.
Oh man. Oh, why you got to bring up wounds like that?
It's not a wound. I didn't bring up the fact that the ownership blocked you on Twitter. Oh, wait, sorry. Okay, now we're getting into wound territory.
I don't know. I don't know if they blocked me. They did reply to me and said I was 100% wrong, but I don't think they blocked me. I think, like I said, the only person who's got me blocked is David Cohen.
So let's see. A couple of people do have me blocked. Shocking, I know. The one that I don't want to say it surprises me because I understand it, but L&J Foxwoods, the outfit behind Kafefi, the winner of the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint one year. Well, I had actually put Kafefi on my Eclipse Award ballot, and I got a very nice note from Jamie Roth thanking me for that. A couple of weeks later, they retire her. And this is after Brad Cox goes on record as saying, Kafefi's sound, she's doing great. We're just waiting for whatever the next, step is. Well, it turned out they retired her maybe 9 days later. And I pointed out, look, either all was not fine or someone was lying through their teeth. And I wound up getting blocked by Jamie Roth for that. And
Hmm.
part of me understands that. But at the same time, just be a little more careful with your public remarks and don't get mad at me for saying that someone said something they absolutely said. People really don't like being held accountable in this sport, Josh. I've noticed it's a big problem. The problem is never the problem. It's people talking about the problem.
Yeah. Um, I was trying to find. Yeah, I was trying to find the. Oh, here it is. Oh yeah, I replied something like his stud value won't ever get higher. And then I said something like, "Oh, I don't fault anyone for getting out while they can make money." And Sakatoba replied, "To be clear, there was zero monetary incentive to send the stud early." So, but I don't know. Whatever.
What I will say is Sakatoga Stable actually does have a couple of nice people behind it. Jack Knowlton is a guy that I've talked to a couple of different times. Great guy, fellow graduate of the Ithaca College. Go Bombers, everybody. So yeah, we've taken this in a lot of different directions as the crowd once again boos my very existence. Join most of horse racing Twitter on that one, guys. But we probably should start taking a look at the opening day late pick 4 at Santa Anita. We've got a 9 race card, so this starts in race number 6. Santa Anita, of course, starting its fall championship meet. Keeneland's starting up again next week, so there's, again, lots to be excited about going forward. We're going to take a look at this sequence here, and there's a couple of pretty big fields in this particular sequence, a couple of very competitive races. We start with race number 6. This is a maiden claiming event for Calbred, 3, 4, and 5-year-old fillies and mares. We got a field of 9 signed on, and Josh, I don't know about you. The morning line favorite is number 9, Gadavri. I don't like this horse at all whatsoever. I see a horse that's run very well on turf, but the one dirt race just wasn't very good. Am I missing something?
No, I kind of agreed with you on that. I actually, when I first looked at this race, I thought the 3 was your favorite. I took a peek at the 9. I looked at these early before morning lines. I figured your 3 would be favored here. Inside drawn speed, for Fly at Night. I already alerted Caleb Knight, that a night horse is going to be running.
Attaboy. Attaboy.
Um, but this is a horse that has gotten two shots on the dirt and progressed. Got progressive better on those 2 starts. They tried the turf a little bit, and I think the horse ran fine on the turf. I think this is probably a horse that would like to run on either type surface. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they try this horse on the Santa Anita turf, just because the Santa Anita turf does tend to be a little bit more speed favoring than the Del Mar turf does. But yeah, the 9, it definitely looks like a horse that they tried on dirt and ran okay, but really looked like a pretty nice horse on turf. So it's kind of interesting that they're trying to run this one back on dirt. I wasn't a huge fan of that horse. My top pick was the 3 in this spot. And obviously, if you're watching us on YouTube, we have the time form PP shown here, provided by DRF. Check out drf.com for all your past performance needs. And they got a couple of fun little new products. The chat bot, chat.drf.com, and then the I believe it's newbie.drf.com with the new kind of beginner friendly PPs that they kind of have for mobile. So a couple new products there. Check them out. Give us feedback. Give them feedback. I know they're interested to hear what people think. But I this 3 was a borderline single for me in this spot. I'm just gonna bet. I'm gonna bet speed at Santa Anita opening day until, you know, I'm told otherwise. And this looks to be your early leader is going to be drawn inside. I think it is going to be tough to beat. Now, full disclosure, the pick four at Santa Anita is not a bet I play often, and there's two reasons. One, I usually would rather play the pick five. Although, if I remember correctly, the late pick five at Santa Anita is the higher takeout of the two pick fives. I believe it's the early pick five that's the lower takeout pick five.
Yes, the early pick five at Santa Anita is, I believe, a 14% takeout, and that's about as low as it gets for that kind of wager at a big track.
But the bigger reason why I don't play the late pick four is because Santa Anita, like many other tracks, has started doing the $3 late pick three, low takeout bet. And that obviously starts in race seven. So, you get the $3 base, the higher base, the lower takeout. The computers still jump in that pool, but it's a little bit harder for them to be as efficient as they possibly can. And I always feel like those $3 pick threes, like I said, I feel like you get a square payout on those. So, but if I'm playing the late pick five in here, or if I am gonna run back to pick four, the two horses I'm gonna use as B types are gonna be the two inside horses, the one West Fresno and the two Dramatic Attraction, and there's a couple things here, right? And I think this is something we briefly talked about before the show. You had mentioned something like, I cannot believe I'm going to bet this horse because of X, this jockey. Like, we were just talking a little bit.
We'll get
And
there. Don't worry.
and so I started looking at this I started looking at this field, and you know, if we were doing a fantasy draft for jockeys, based on just this field, my first and second round picks would be the one and the two in this spot, in Kyle Frey and Kazushi Kimura. I think in this field, these seem to kind of be I mean, these guys are just workhorses in California right now, right? They're your 10 to 12% guys that are going to get hundreds and hundreds of mounts every season, right? They ride a ton. And you kind of look at the rest of this field, and they're kind of like journeyman guys, guys that bounce around a lot. I mean, Wilfer Orantes is been pretty good this year. Abel Lascano has been all right as well, but these two guys, Kyle Frey and Kimura, both of them have kind of they've really solidified their spots, I think, in California the this past year. And so when I see this, maiden claimer race, right, a lot of the big guys aren't in here. I don't see Barrios isn't riding in here, right? JJ's not in here. So, like these guys, I mean, this is basically like the next up guys, right? Like, and I'm looking at both these horses. I see a couple of good works for the one West Fresno, right? I like that 5 furlong work, followed by that bullet. Jeff Bondy does not win early whatsoever, but he's got he's got Kyle Frey deciding to pick up this mount when, I mean, honestly, like he could have ridden this three again, right? And kind of the same thing with the two Dramatic Attraction. Another not win early trainer here, but this is a horse that three back, fired a near bullet, right? You see 31 out of 94, but I mean that was 59 and three going 5 furlongs. That's pretty fast. And has kind of followed up with two decent works here at Santa Anita. So you know kind of like looking through, these aren't really, Sir Prancelot's only a 10% sire first time out. Astern, he's a lot better. He's 15 or he's 11%, 15% with 2 year olds, but obviously this is a 3 year old race. So I don't know. I think if you're going to go anywhere else besides the three, I think maybe you take a shot with a price with the with bigger name connections here in the at least on the jockey side with Kyle Frey and Kazushi Kimura, two horses that are kind of working pretty well. And maybe I'm just trying to zag a little bit here, and not just play the other short prices, but I went with the three as my lone A. I got the one and two as B's here. Where did you land?
Quick deviation from this, and I'm looking at this field. I see a lot of horses bred for turf. I see a lot of horses bred for synthetic. I see Calbreds. I see Calbred trainers like Jeff Bondy and Bill McLean. There's a couple of other barns in here, Blaine Wright, Andy Mathis. Those are guys that were in NorCal for a very long time. These were horses that were not bred to go to Santa Anita. They were bred to go to Golden Gate and run on the synthetic and turf course there. It is a reminder, of course, that it is an absolute shame what has happened up here in Northern California. Now, in looking at this field, I understand where you're going with first-time starters as potential alternatives. We agree that Fly at Night is a lone A. Fly at Night, to me, yes, you see a rider switch to an apprentice. Mark Glatt and Mr. Chavez have a relationship. Mark Glatt saddled Chavez's first winner. This to me hits me as really simple instructions to a young rider. Go. Just go. Go as fast as you can for as long as you can and try to hold on. If that's the case, I think Fly at Night is the horse to beat. But if we're talking about first-time starters, what's wrong with the 4 Jenny's Wine Girl at 12-1? I'm looking at the work tab at San Luis Rey, which is traditionally a fairly slow surface. Her workouts look pretty sharp. I see a horse coming in for Richard Baltus, who's a very good trainer that can get horses ready to go first time out. The big negative with this one, I think, is the rider. Brian Pena is another guy that spent a lot of time in Northern California. I've seen him. He's not bad out of the gate, but Josh, for many years, he was the worst finisher on the Northern California circuit. If you had a Brian Pena horse that wound up in a dogfight turning for home, it wasn't going to go well for you. Jenny's Wine Girl, though, I don't think has to be a whole heck of a lot in order to win this. I think we may very well get something close to the 12-1 morning line. And also, just for sentimental reasons, the damn Jenny Way You Want It is one of my favorite named horses in the history of horse racing. The sire of that one, Good Journey. Any way you want it, that's the way you need it. Yeah, congratulations. Good luck getting that song out of your head. The other B that I'm going to use is possibly the lone closer in this field, and that's the 8 Big A's Little One. Big A's Little One was sort of one-paced in the debut down at Del Mar, didn't wind up doing a heck of a lot of running that day, but took a significant step forward at second asking, rallying from 7th to finish a pretty good second. Now, there was some pace signed on that day, but she took a big step forward on buyer numbers, going from a 50 to a 62. If she takes a similar step forward, she could absolutely win this race, especially if someone winds up going with Fly at Night. I'm 3 with 4 and 8 in this particular spot. I think Fly at Night is pretty legitimate. My strongest opinion, though, is that the 9, if she goes favored, is an underlay.
All right, let's move on to race number 7. And this is the start of the aforementioned late pick 3 for $3. 6 furlong race here on the turf. We have an state bred filly and mare optional claimer, N1X here. And yeah, your morning line favorite in this race is going to be, it looks like the 9, Lady Gregory. She's listed as also eligible, but it looks like we already have an early scratch of
No,
the 5.
yeah, she's going to run. She's going to run.
Yeah. So she's your morning line favorite at 3-2. You get 7-2 on Willow Cove. You get 5-1 on Magical Miss, 8-1 on Press Your Luck, 6-1 on Freya. You get double digits on the rest, and then you have the 10. You have one more AE in here as well. I didn't get too cute in this spot. I think I'm going to take, I think the speed horse in this race going 6 furlongs on the turf in the 7, Willow Cove. That's probably my top pick in here. JJ rode this horse over a year ago, August of last year's Del Mar meet. Horse needed some time off after that. Comes back into Mike Pipey's barn. And JJ sees fit to get right aboard for this one. This is a horse, once again, that has had a number of works at Del Mar, and has got two really nice works here on the synthetic at Santa Anita. So I think that this is a horse that, albeit is coming off a very, very long layoff, is coming in here, with some, at least some kind of fitness behind her in that work tab. So I thought the 7 Willow Cove is going to be my top pick in here. I'm also going to use the 9 Lady Gregory. This is the horse that hasn't won in a bit, but this is the horse that I think really does like Santa Anita. If you look at this horse's record here at Santa Anita, as I flip over to other PPs here, horse has got 5 starts at Santa Anita. It's got 2 wins and 2 seconds on the turf here at Santa Anita. So just a horse that seems to really, really like this turf course, likes this route, and I think kind of was starting to fall off a little bit in June. You kind of saw a bit of a regression there. Had a short little layoff, comes back. I think that last race on the dirt was probably kind of a prep to get this horse into some shape in order to come back onto the turf. So I love the move back here to the turf. I think that the 9 is definitely a worthy favorite in here. So I'm going to use a 9 as well. But I'm just 7 and 9 in this spot. Where did you land, Andrew?
Before we go much further, we would be remiss not to mention another low takeout wager at Santa Anita, the all turf pick 3, which starts in race number 5 and concludes in races 7 and 9. And I got to tell you, I'm probably going to be playing that sequence because in the last 2 turf races of the day, I've got 2 singles. I'm looking at this race, and I think it absolutely starts and ends with horse number 9 in the program. That's Lady Gregory, your 3-2 morning line favorite. This is a runner that just hasn't done a whole heck of a lot wrong in her turf outings. You look at the last couple of races, and yes, she got beat 2 starts ago before she went to the sidelines. But if you go off of time form, she ran a 101 that day. If she runs a 101 here, I don't think anybody's beating her. I think she's got enough speed to work out an ideal stalking trip and potentially record her 12th win in 33 lifetime starts. This is a solid filly that's been around for quite a long time. If you're looking for an alternative, I'm going to get a little bit crazy here because I don't think the 3 Rizzleberry Rose is poorly meant. Rizzleberry Rose makes the second start off a long layoff for Peter Urton. They ran her in some ambitious spots last year. She ran in a California bred stakes race back on November 1st, and it's safe to assume something went wrong that day because we didn't see her again for, my goodness, more than 10 months. She comes back, and she probably needed that race at Del Mar. She was wide that day. Being wide at Del Mar is usually not a very good thing, so I'm not going to hold that against her too much. You've got to dig a little bit in the program, but her female family does include a 3rd dam by the name of Diadella, and she was a grade 2 winner on the grass. So there is at least some reason to think she might take to the turf. I do think she's got some early speed, and I think she'll be a factor early. But Lady Gregory, to me, hits me as the class of the field. Maybe you sprinkle in the 3 underneath and a small little exacta.
All right, we move on to race 8.
Do we have to? Do we have to move on to this race?
And I'm going to have to hit a button here.
Air raid! Everybody get down! Thought we were safe for a minute.
Andrew, we got the all alert going here.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't know that was a button you had. All right. I thought we were under attack. But then again, if aliens are out there, they're seeing the damage we're doing to ourselves and thinking, no, we don't have to do anything. Pass the coffee. Anyway, yeah. Josh, I have no shame in saying I don't have a clue about this particular race. I'm looking at this. I see a 2-1 morning line favorite in the form of number 3 Mystic Flyer, and I see all sorts of red flags. Mystic Flyer has not run since March of 2024. You're looking at a layoff of 18 months, and you're looking at a horse that could have come back in a variety of different spots and comes back in for a $10,000 tag. How many red flags are there on this horse? Now, if you look back at the race she ran January 20th at Santa Anita, if she channels that form, she probably wins. but how confident are you that she can channel that form given the layoff? The problem is, you look at this field, and almost every other horse in here looks exactly the same. These are horses that have taken turns running up against one another, potentially beating each other. Your second choice is number 8, Sekil. Sekil hasn't won in quite a long time. You see a horse in Ostonian, who was third behind a much the best winner last time out for 8,000, stepping up in class to run for 10,000. And the last time this horse won was on the synthetic at Gulfstream. I mean, in looking at some of these horses, the nicest thing I can say about any of them is actually a really big price that needs to improve, and that's the 7 Big Spin. Big Spin's connections take advantage of one of my favorite rules in all of horse racing. Josh, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to take a look at the DRF past performances that you have on your screen, and I want you to tell me where the claiming price is for the 7 Big Screen.
There is not one.
Big Spin, excuse me, I may have said Big Screen. It's Big Spin. Big Spin is protected in this spot coming back off the bench. I love it when trainers do that. But then you look at the form and you see that she's lost to a number of these horses in the past. In fact, a horse named Upstart Yankee, the 4 in the program, has beaten her 4 times since the start of 2024. So you can't be too enthusiastic, I think, about any of these runners. So I'm just going to hit the all button and hope for a price. I can justify that because I've got 2 singles in the sequence. And in the first leg, I'm going against a morning line favorite that I think is vulnerable. I looked at this race a number of different times. I tried to narrow it down. I couldn't. And Josh, you did. You were able to get to too deep in here. I admire you for having convictions because in this particular instance, I sure as heck did not.
Yeah, my original thought is I think Mystic Flyer could run. Could run back to his 2-year-old form, right? And I think probably beat these horses. So I think there's a lot. If this horse runs close to what this horse was running before the layoff, the very long layoff. I mean, this horse wins by 8 lengths. This horse is that much of a standout. Now, obviously, you got to question. Okay, the long layoff. Why in for this tag? What's going on here? But I don't know. I think this horse is probably just too good. So I got to use this 3. But I'm a simple man, Andrew. I like speed. And when I look at this race, I think the 5 seems to kind of be your controlling speed. I think in this race, and this is a horse that is was running in that lower claiming level, had a win, and then all of a sudden actually won a race at an N3L 25,000. Right. They tried an allowance race on the turf for some reason. And now this is a horse that is definitely, dropping down in class here. And I think it's kind of coming back to the probably the right level, I think, for this horse. So 15-1 in the morning line, that doesn't take much for me to talk myself into a 15-1. This horse go fast early. This horse hopefully win wire. So we'll use the 5 Sunset Storm along with the 3 Mystic Flyer in this spot.
So you're hoping for the let it ride strategy that they used on Charity. Go fast and win?
Yeah. Is that a movie?
Josh! Okay, hold everything. Hold the phone. For those of you that have been with us for 34 minutes, I implore you to just give me a moment. There's a lot of things about my co-host that I love and admire. One of those things is he hasn't been in horse racing all that long. So he doesn't have much of a history prior to about 2018. Josh, are you seriously telling me you are not familiar with the movie Let It Ride?
I've never seen it. I've seen that's with the Mr. Holland's Opus guy and
Richard Dreyfuss
and the lady who's a poker player,
Jennifer Tilly.
right?
Yes,
Okay.
congratulations. At least you're aware of the movie. Your homework between now and next week's show. And I know you mentioned you're busy with work. I know you mentioned you're busy with a couple of other things. Carve out 2 hours, watch Let It Ride. It is the greatest horse racing movie ever made. I will fight anyone who disagrees unless you're counting The Sting as a horse racing movie. Personally, I don't. I think it's a heist movie, but it's a fantastic movie, and that's the only other one that can be in conversation if you count it. People in the comments out there, please roast my co host for not having seen Let It Ride. Please, I'm begging you. I'm
I might.
imploring you. This is something that has to happen. And I'm going to tell Mark Capitan and our friend Caleb, Mr. Pretty Boy, that you have not seen Let It Ride. And I'm going to implore them to get on you, much like I am.
I actually don't think I've seen any horse racing movies.
My God, you have so much to learn.
Like I remember Seabiscuit came out and like people were all like thought that was a good movie,
It
but
was good.
I never saw that. Um, yeah, I don't think I've seen any horse racing movies. I can't think of one that I've
My
seen.
goodness, you need to hole up for a weekend and just binge watch horse racing movies and
I
gambling
just
movies in general.
I just don't like movies like in general. Like I'm not a movie guy.
Once again, Josh doesn't like anything. This we keep coming
That's
back
true.
to this.
Yeah.
All
Anything
right,
else on
race
this
number
race?
9. Now, the sooner we can move on from this race, the better, because at least in race number 9, I have a strong opinion.
All right, talk to me about race number 9 then.
Yeah, I think the race starts and ends with your favorite. That's the 2 Rehearsal. The last 2 starts, this one's been ridden by Umberto Rispoli, and you can see a significant improvement in the form. If you're looking at time form numbers, you see back-to-back 89s. If you're looking at Beyer speed figures, this one matched a top last time out when second beaten 4 lengths by a much the best winner after encountering some trouble. Now, if you look at this horse's running lines, you see that this may not be the easiest horse to ride. You see that there's a chance she tends to find trouble. And that gave me a little bit of pause until I looked at the rest of this field. This is a maiden claiming group. It is not a very good group, I don't think, for the level. I think Rehearsal has absolutely found her friends, and that this is a now or never spot for me with regard to your favorite. She's 3-2 on the morning line. I think she breaks at even money or potentially odds on and winds up being a very popular winner of the nightcap. If I was to give you something else at a little bit of a price, maybe you take a look at the 5 Strawberry Tizzy, who last time out tried some new tactics. Strawberry Tizzy last time out was on the lead for the very first time. The pace wasn't all that fast, but I do think there's a chance they found something with this horse, and I think she'll be prominent early in a race that doesn't seem to have a ton in the way of early speed signed on. Maybe there's a chance she gets comfortable and finishes off an exacta that overpays a little bit, given her 8-1 price on the morning line that I think we're going to get. But from the standpoint of multi-race wagers, whether you're playing the late pick 4, the late pick 5, the all-turf pick 3, whatever, I think Rehearsal's a free square.
Yeah, I really like the 2. I think you put it much more eloquently than I could have. So
Thank you.
kudos
I
to you there.
appreciate that. That might be the
Uh,
nicest thing you've ever said to me. Thank you.
but I'm also going to use the 1 in this spot, Thea, and this is a horse that when I kind of look at the horse's last couple races, or basically entire career, her best race was here at Santa Anita with that 94 or 95 time form rating, and that's the fastest in this field. And we've talked a little bit, I think, before about the differences in the turf courses at Del Mar and Santa Anita. And I just think that the turf course at Santa Anita tends to be a little bit more speed favoring, and this is going to be your likely leader, I think, in this spot coming from the rail. So I like the 1 Thea here as a alternative to the 2 Rehearsal, but I'm not really sticking my neck out here like crazy, right? I'm using the top 2 choices in here, and I'm using my boy who blocked me, Mr. David Cohen, here on the 1 Thea. So. But yeah, those are going to be the 2 horses I try and cash out on with here.
I'm not sure what to think with regard to Thea because, yes, she was on or near the lead last time out. And if you look back at that race at Santa Anita, they did try to send her. But then you look at the races 2 and 3 back, and she was nowhere. I do think there's a chance the rail forces her hand and that she's a bit more prominent early. But even if she is, she ran, let's see, 7 lengths behind rehearsal, 2 starts back, and 3 lengths behind rehearsal last time out. She would need a pretty significant regression from rehearsal and possibly improvement in order to beat that rival. I see 7-2 on the morning line. I think that's a little bit of an underlay, but I do think she may play a bit bigger than that just because I think rehearsal is going to be a very, very big favorite in every conceivable sequence.
Anything else on this card you want to talk about?
It's good to see Santa Anita back. It's not necessarily a note on the card, but even with the stuff that has happened with Santa Anita and racing in California in general, racing is better when Santa Anita is thriving. Santa Anita is a place that I hold near and dear to my heart in what has turned into a very complicated relationship. I worked there on site for a year and a half. It helped me rebuild in a lot of different ways that we don't have to get into right now. But it was a case where I wound up moving to Northern California. The saga with the Northern California fairs happened. And look, the figures that came out of Santa Anita running in the winter and spring, they were good. I don't want to say they were great. They were good. However, I don't think consolidating to one circuit helps the circuit's bigger problems. We're still not breeding nearly enough horses in California. The horses that we are breeding are running less and less. And there are stakes races that often wind up going with 5 horses or fewer because a lot of the top horses on the circuit are concentrated in one barn. I think what happened with concentrating to one circuit in Southern California was more of a Band-Aid than anything else. And I think it's a shame what happened here in Northern California to bring it back full circle. But I want to see Santa Anita do well. I've got a lot of friends down there, friends that give a significant damn about improving horse racing and making sure the game is as good as it can be. And let's give Santa Anita some credit. 5 or 6 years ago, that track was not doing well in any particular way, shape, or form, with all of the horrible news that came out at Santa Anita, what seemed like every day for a solid month or two. They have turned Santa Anita into a world-class facility as far as safety is concerned, and they should be credited for that. But there's just a lot of moving parts out here in California. And when you see some of these races on these cards that are attracting horses that, let's be honest, would be running at Golden Gate Fields or one of the fair tracks, the wound is still sort of fresh there. But it's always good to see Santa Anita back. In my opinion, it's the best host of the Breeders' Cup, especially when they're running the turf sprint going down the hill at 6.5 furlongs. I have no idea why they did not do that the last time the Breeders' Cup was at Santa Anita, but going down the hill is just one of the coolest things you're ever going to see in your life. So best of luck to the folks at Santa Anita. And if you're playing the opening day card at Santa Anita, best of luck. Hopefully we can hit this pick 4. We do have a consensus ticket that we'll dive into. My ticket is a $12 play for 50 cents. And I'm turning it into a pick 3, basically. I'm going 3, 4, and 8 in leg number 1, race number 6, singling the 9 in race number 7, hitting the all button in race number 8. Please don't play that alert again. I seriously thought we were under attack with an air raid, and singling number 2 rehearsal in the last and final. As mentioned, 24 bets for $12. And if you want to play the pick 5 or the all turf pick 3, I think you can do that because I think there are some places where you can take a stand.
Yeah, and I also have a $12 play. I'm 3 with the 1, 2 in the first leg, the 7 and 9 in leg 2, 3, 5 in leg 3, and then 1, 2 in leg 4. Like I said, I'm more interested in playing that late pick 3. So, we're 2 by 2 by 2 with Andrew. You got some quick math? I believe that's $27
Let's see.
or 24.
It's 24. 8 bets
Yeah.
times 3.
Yeah. So that's probably gonna be more my play there. But hey, like Andrew said, there's also the turf pick 3, another low takeout bet. And the races 7 and 9 both look pretty good. So and then we have our consensus ticket. 3 with 9 with 3, 5 with 2. So hey,
You got 4 quarters, you can play it. You've got some action.
what you got going on this week, Andrew?
So I'm going to be taking a look at Saturday's Santa Anita card for the folks over at ABR. That'll be up on Thursday at some point. We'll see what time that winds up going live. Also going to be taking a look at a lot of Keeneland stuff coming up this meet. Just trying to keep myself busy, keep myself above water. Got a lot of moving parts personally and professionally at the moment. So doing this show has been an absolutely wonderful reprieve for the last 45 minutes. So Josh, thank you very much. Thanks to all of our listeners and all of the people that tune into Drinking Champagne on Thursdays or Fridays or whenever, leading up to some big days. And look, we got a lot to be excited about over the course of the next 5 or 6 weeks. So stay tuned right here to On the Wrong Lead. We've got you covered. There we go. There's the film noir music.
I hit that button like 3 times. I don't know what's up with that, but I gotta test that button.
It was recovering from the air raid signal that you played earlier. It didn't know if it was safe to come out. Hit him with the outro, Josh.
That's going to do it for us on Drinking Champagne. Check us out at ontherwronglead.com, at wrong_lead on Twitter. I am at Cherry Drank. He is at Andrew Champagne. We'll be live Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern or Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, with Matthew DeSantis, myself, and the pretty one, Caleb Knight. We'll be looking ahead to Naira Backwaduct Saturday card featuring the Woodward, the Joe Hirsch Turf Classic. A lot of good racing coming up this weekend, so check it out. Check out our friends at DRF. Check out our friends at AM Wager. Have a good weekend, guys. Let's make some money.